Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking. This is going to be a little bit of a weird video. This video is for the game Tradewarz. Tradewarz is a game currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. Well, technically you might watch this video after the fact, but right now, when I am making this video, they are currently seeking funding for their game through Kickstarter. Tradewarz is a game of, well, it's a 4X game. And if you've watched my channel for a long time, you know that I really enjoy 4X games. Lately, I've actually discovered quite a few games that are of the 4X variety that aren't in space. It seems like, you know, space usually ends up being like the theme that people want to use, and I think maybe it works really well, and it does work really well for 4X. But Tradewarz is taking place in a, you know, kind of made-up fantasy world where each player is going to start in a corner of the board and they're going to slowly work their way into the middle. They're going to go ahead and claim territory. They're going to build forts. They're going to build castles. They're going to build universities. They are going to expand their territory. They're going to exploit the resources that are there. They're going to attempt to exterminate one another. And there is a really wonderful tech tree that goes along with the game as well. These are all the things that I really look for in a 4X type game. These are the types of games that I've always enjoyed due to the fact that you have the ability to kind of make your own narrative. You have the ability to make your own, you know, kingdom. Do you want to focus on, you know, being a really strong military? You can do that. Do you want to focus on, you know, doing lots of research and really delving into the tech tree? You can do that. You know, so there's all these different options that you can go, and depending upon how each of the games kind of plays out and what you're going to focus on, they're going to end up being different. Now, I'm kind of talking in very big overtones here, and the reason why I'm doing that is because these gentlemen that contacted me about the game Tradewarz are based in South Africa, and unfortunately they have like 1 or 2 prototypes of the game, and because of the high quality of the components that they've made themselves, it was going to cost several $100s just to have those games delivered to me. So unfortunately we weren't able to do that. But they did ask me to play the game online with them and play it on Tabletopia with them. And I was like, alright, I'll do that. And so one afternoon, and this is a few months ago, we sat down and I played Tabletopia, and we were like linked up via the intrawebs. And I've never been a really big fan of playing a board game, you know, virtually. I don't know what it is. It's just I like feeling of the cards in my hands. I like playing with the chips, the wooden blocks or whatever. But I was like, all right, let me give this thing a shot, because everything I had read about the game sounded really cool. And I read the rules, and I looked at all the different things that were going on with the game, and I just thought it was going to be a lot of fun. And I also realized the chances are I wasn't going to be able to play it unless I did this. And what better way to learn a game from somebody who's created the game who can teach me everything about the game. So, I sat down one afternoon, and like I said, this is a couple months ago, and I've since played it several times on Tabletopia since then. So, but I was taught this game, and there were several things that I immediately really liked about it. One of the things I really liked about it was the fact that the board was completely modular. There are several different types of locations that you can use for resources. There are several different types of terrain that will impede movement, you know, mountains, lakes, that sort of thing. And I liked the fact that because it was like a kind of a completely random modular board, you all of a sudden, bam, it isn't like you're playing. You know, there are certain like 4X type games where like the terrain is always going to be the same. Now, having a random board is fairly common in 4X games, but that was a big plus for me right away. The fact that like you and the other players, when you sat down to play, would be able to create the world the way you wanted to. Then, when I started diving into it, it was the turn structure. Now, to explain this, the turn structure works where like there are several different seasons. And the seasons matter because during the warm seasons, the spring and the summer seasons, if you want to be mobile, if you want to move your armies out and go and claim territory, go and have combats, go and siege castles. These are all things you get to do in the game. It's easier to do because it's nicer out, right? Your armies can move, they're not getting bogged down by the winter and so forth. But of course, then there are like the winter months, and the winter months it is tougher to move. It is like that whole idea of like, you know, feeding your army and getting them to move and everything. You know, there isn't like a resource where you okay feed your armies now. But I mean, I think that's kind of like the theme of it, right? That you're like trying to maintain an army when it is, you know, super cold, and like, you know, trying to bolster them is tougher. There's even like a entire section that's called Grace, and during Grace, no armies are allowed to move. It's kind of like a religious holiday type of situation where it's like, this is where we're all going to be at peace. Now, what this means is that the game kind of has this ebb and flow. It has this ebb and flow. And you can buck the trend, right? You can move during the winter. You can be mobile during winter, but it's going to be more difficult to pull that off. And I kind of liked that. I kind of really liked the idea of Grace as well, because it was one of those things that you could kind of plan for. It's like, okay, I'm kind of getting beaten down here. I'm kind of like, I got the barbarians at the gates, so to speak. But I know next turn I'm going to be able to stop, I'm going to be able to regroup, I'm going to be able to, you know, maybe build up some armies even if I can't move them. I'm going to be able to build up my defenses. So there's things like that I really liked. I also like the fact that like everything had a way to kind of grow and expand. You can build these trade posts, and the trade posts then can become castles. When you build these trade posts, you're able to place like basically you have these chits that you place on the different resources around you. Like grasslands give you food, like forests give you lumber, that sort of thing. And then when you put these chits on them, that basically means each turn you're going to be earning those particular resources. And the resources then in turn are being used basically for the different most of the actions that you have that are going to be like building up things, or like spending the resources to research things in the tech tree. Now, the other thing, and I kind of bounced around here, and like I said, I'm sorry I don't have a game board to show you. So, and I do invite you to go ahead and there's an excellent video on the Kickstarter page that actually has some very good like pictures of their prototypes and how the different games, the parts of the game progress. You can also play the game yourself on Tabletopia. You can go and like fool around with it, play with a bunch of friends. I mean, if anybody you wanted to play with Tabletopia and you're able to find some spare time, I would be happy to play the game. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed this game. It's just a lot of fun. But the way I like is that you're actually able to kind of terraform the world in some way. There's a big giant mountain, you can build a tunnel through it. You want your armies to move faster, build bridges, things like that, build roads, and you're able to actually affect the world that you're in. Something that I very much enjoy. I like being kind of the master of my own domain. I like being able to have an actual effect upon the world that I'm creating. But getting to like the actual actions you can make, because there's several different actions. You can like I said, there's research in the tech tree. You can move your armies. You can build different structures, things like that. Some of these actions you can only do once per given game turn. Now, game turn is 5 different actions. Some of those you can only do once. Some of them you can do more than once. What you will do is there are these like 5 action pawns, number 1 through 5, which I thought was really cool because you could see what people had done and what order they had done them. But like, you just take an action pawn, you place it on the spot, you take your action, the next person goes, and so forth. It's a really good way to like see, like, okay, is it my turn yet? Like, this is a game where it's going to take some thought. It's going to take some like definite like attempts on your part to try to like plan ahead, and like, I'm going to build up armies this round because next round I'm going to move them because, it's going to be like a good month. It's going to be like a spring month where I'm going to be able to move faster. Things like that. So you have to be able to be thinking on your feet, and you have to be able to like planning ahead. And I like games that it rewards that sort of forward thinking, that sort of forward planning. it makes you feel like, you know, and this is an important integral part, I believe, in my opinion, in a 4X game, is that you do have to feel like you're in charge of a large, you know, like space force. You have to feel like you're in charge of a civilization. You have to feel like you're in charge of an army. You have to feel like, you know, you have, like, your word is law sort of thing, and you are commanding these people. And so they go to great lengths to help you to feel that way. But anyway, the turn structure, the way it works is like each person puts that shit down, they take those actions, the next person goes. And as I said, since they are number 1 through 5, it is really cool to be able to see what the other people are, like, had done in the preceding. And sometimes they can give you a little bit of a hint into maybe what they're planning on doing next turn, things like that. And where they're moving ahead, and maybe what their plans are. Now, combat works kind of neat. Each person, you'll get a hand of cards at the beginning of the game, and you'll look at that hand of cards, and each of those cards will have little bonuses and, like, negatives. So combat works like it classic attack strength against attack strength, you know, and like you figured out. Whoever has the most is going to win the battle. However, it doesn't necessarily determine that you're going to kill a lot of the troops that are there. So you will actually have, like not only will you have your attack value, but you also have your damage value, like how many kills you're going to inflict. Now, all of these things can be altered by the different technologies you're going to gain. And the technologies, and I'll talk about the technology tree in just a little bit here, but the technologies do have several different things that affect resource collection. They affect your ability to fight, affect ability to defend, so on and so forth. So when you look at it, you'll have an attack value, you'll have a kill total, meaning how many, you know, casualties you're going to inflict on the person. And it'll also have like a shield total, like how many casualties you're going to prevent from happening to yourself. So the way it works is that you're going to see those cards, and this isn't a situation where you're going to see those cards and you're going to know which card, you pick one and play it. It's a card where you shuffle those up and you have them in a deck in front of you. And when combat occurs, you will look at how many troops you have in the battle. You'll also look at, like, you know, any technologies that you have that will affect the battle. But then you also then will take the top card and you'll discard it, and then you'll pull the next card up and you'll see, like, what your added bonus is. So you'll have an idea. The more you fight, the more of an idea of which cards are going to be left in that deck. Because once you've shuffled a deck, you have to put it down. You can't look at it. But if you just kind of have the thought process of, like, what's in there, and as you go through, you're going to, like, have a good idea of what, you know, kind of cards you are likely to draw. And so combat works really quickly. I mean, there's too many times I played in a 4X game where it's like, okay, we're going to have combat, and then, like, if it's between two people and the other two people are sitting there, like, that combat takes too long. Like, tons of dice being rolled, things like that. But this is combat is like, bam, 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 bam. You know, it's like you total them up, turn the card over, you're done. And you figure out who wins, who loses, you inflict the casualties, and then if a person has anything left and they have to retreat, they do so, and the person, like, either the defender remains in the location they're at because they succeeded, or the attacker takes over the spot that they're at. You know, this is a game. It isn't a game of extermination. You know, I mean, you're going to be fighting each other, but it is like a victory point game. So you don't have to destroy your enemies to win, which is also a good thing as well. Meaning that, like, if you are able to just have really good defense and keep everybody at bay, and slowly but surely, like, improve and, you know, and better your own civilization, your own culture, you know, you'll enter, like, some sort of golden age, which is kind of like what the game says when you're winning, like, and then you will be, like, the victor, you know, in the situation. So, I mean, ultimately, what this game is it promotes several different ways of playing, and there's no given way that will be better than any of the others. It really depends on how the game unfolds and how, like, the terrain unfolds for your particular location, and just how well you're able to just implement the ideas that you have and seizing the opportunities that you have to achieve victory over the other people. And once again, as I've always said many, many times, it's one thing for the mechanisms of a game to be, like, the puzzle that you have to figure out. But once you've figured out that puzzle, once you know how those things work, it then becomes a situation where you're combating the other people. And when there's a lot of high interaction between the players, and you're not only fighting the mechanisms of the game to achieve your victory, but you're also those other players are working directly against you to prevent you from doing it. That is where a game becomes fun for me, because I need that human opponent that's trying to mess things up for me. That's what I want to face. I don't want to face like some sort of like puzzle that never changes each time I play the game. You know, the tech tree, I mentioned that, and I want to mention this before I go there. There are three different tech trees. There is, and I, you know, part of me said they could have had more, but I like the fact that there's 3 tech trees, because this wasn't made to be like some epic, you know, like slug-a-thon of a game. This is maybe a couple hours and you're done, which is something I like. But there are 3 different tech trees. There's basically attacks, there's defense, and there's kind of like economy. And they do exactly what you're thinking. Attack is like, if you're going to be, you know, they're going to affect the attack values that you have. The defense is going to affect, you know, the defense values. Like if you're, and this isn't just a straight attack. There are several different. I invite you to go check out the rules and check out the components. You'll see all the different things. The defense is more of a defense-oriented tech tree, and then the economy is more of like, if you are just a builder, if you are just trying to create. And I've had a lot of fun with that economy tree more than the other 2. I mean, I just like the idea of, you know, we're gonna invest a lot of money in our country's infrastructure, you know, or things like that, and it just kind of makes for a interesting way to try to play the game. Let the other people duke it out. Let them bash each other senseless. I'm just going to be over here slowly, you know, creating a very cultured, very advanced country, and eventually, like when the game comes to an end, I'll have the win in my grasp. So, so there you go. I mean, the thing is that eventually I'm going to be getting a copy of this game, and once I do, I am going to review the game that I get. In the coming time during when this game is up, I believe I will be getting together with the designers of the game to play a game live on my stream, which we'll just kind of stream that, and we will show it, and that'll also serve as an interview for them. And trust me, like a lot of the things we've talked about when we've been playing, I've just asked them, like, what is the gaming culture like in South Africa, and how is that different from America? So things like that, which I found really, really fascinating. Also, my plan is to have them on my podcast as well, just so they can talk about the game and what have you. So, again, I do apologize that I don't have a game to show you. I can't walk you through the rules like I normally do. But I strongly suggest you go ahead and go to the Kickstarter page, check out the rules, download them yourself, have a good read, watch their gameplay video, which is excellent. You can check that out. And, yeah, and finally, just like I said, just kind of, you know, maybe pull up the Tabletopia and you know, that's a free game system that you can play, and then you just pull that up and just muck around with it. See if you know, get a couple of friends to join you, and just have a good play and have a good session of the game. And I think that if you are a 4X fan, you will find this game to be as enjoyable as I do. So there you go. This is, like I said, this is kind of a weird video for you. For me, I don't see myself doing many more of these in the future, but I hope I've given you a good idea of how Tradewarz is played and how the game is fun. And hopefully, you'll go ahead and check out the Kickstarter page and see if it's a game that will work for you. So, thank you very much for sitting through me babbling on and on about this game. If you have any questions about it, please ask away. Maybe that's like the best way to do it. If you have specific questions about Tradewarz, about like, does it work well with 4 players? Yes. Does it work well with 3? It sure does. Does it work well with 2? You bet it does. Things like that. If you have questions about the game and like how it might compare to others, things like that, I'll try to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Remember out there, be positive. You know, be that person. As my buddy Tim says, be that person people want to be around. And avoid the toxicity that seems to be infecting our way of life lately. Just be that dude or be that lady that people want to be around, and I guarantee you, you will feel better about yourself, and the people around you will feel better about themselves as well. Until next time, I am the Undead Viking. I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Until next time, bye-bye.